Oh, I'm a genius. Hey guys, John Conley here, UncleJohnSoap.com. So yesterday we made lots of soap. That was our video title anyway. And it was lots of soap. We make small batches, so it doesn't take much to be a lot. Anyway, we made 6 of our regular loaves. So they're about 6 pounds each. I get 24 bars out of a loaf. Our retail loaves are 12 bars. I just find that they sell better. It's easier for people to get their head around, especially when they're choosing multiple scents. Buying a dozen here and there, no big deal. So anyway, let's go ahead and cut them all. Well, I don't know what happened, guys. I've been sitting here talking, I thought, to you guys, and all of a sudden my camera turns off. Evidently, I didn't hit record. So I'm sorry you missed the start of this. It aggravates me to no end. This is our black tie loaf. The good news is you only missed one cut. This is the second one here. Yep. Love this cutter, man. This is our black tie soap. Pretty plain, but people like it. I like it. It's a good smelling soap, good functioning soap. Feels good on the skin. And after all, that's why I got into it. I didn't get into it to make art necessarily. Occasionally I'll get a little fancier with it, add some color or whatever. But for the most part, I like to make a functional, I'm a utility guy. I want to make something that cleans well, leaves your skin feeling good. So that's what I do. I started to say when I was talking to no one, this cutter, fabulous cutter. If you're interested, go to Woodskin, WOODSKIN.RU. Don't do .com, .net, .RU. That is a Russian site. Yes, I know. And even with shipping, you probably won't find a better price anywhere. Guarantee it. Also, if you need a custom size for anything, I mean, I haven't asked him about anything, but the string spacing. I think his spacing is about 1 inch. That's like his standard. But my bars are 7/8 of an inch thick. That was true through trial and error. The first couple years of making soap. And that's the size I came up with that was optimal for our customers. Our customers like that size. They fit well in the hand. So I was explaining to a lady in the comments on one of the videos this morning how, people ask for, like, how do they figure out a 1 pound mold, a 2 pound mold, a 5 pound mold, things like that. So this is our nightcap soap. So it has some vanilla content to it, and you can see how it started to get a little darker on the outside. Hasn't gotten to the middle yet. As it cures, this will all turn uniform color, similar to this color here. So anyway, honestly, guys, that's a kind of a, how do I put this? I would never make a mold based on the weight of the batch. And here's why. The end user, 90% of the time, isn't weighing a bar of soap. It's just not what they're doing. So the weight of the batch is kind of irrelevant for me, for lack of a better term. I really don't care what the batch weighs. Until, I mean, the only time it matters is when I'm making the batch. And then I need to know my oil totals. I think part of the problem is people are trying to get equal or even 1 pound increments of base oils and things like that. Throw all of that out. Because honestly, I mean, it's up to you. I'm going to give you my opinion, and you take it for what it's worth. Love this cutter. More important to me is what the customers see, feel, what they want. And that seems to be the bar size. And then the weight is what it is at that point. And as long as you label it with the correct weight, then there shouldn't be a problem. So through trial and error, I figured out what size bar works for me and my customers. And you don't have to wipe these strings between each use. It's just, I find that it does a better job on the soap when you do. Anyway, so for me, part of it was based on materials at hand when we first started making soap. And I wanted to build a mold. Well, one of the easiest materials to build a mold out of, if you have, a couple tools and a little bit of, skill. It's not even really that much skill involved. It's just common sense and being able to work with tools, is wood. I'm a sucker for wood anyway. This one's a little hard. This is the Dead Sea mud soap. Nice. It's already pretty hard, and it'll just keep getting harder. Where was I? Ramble. Anyway, wood. Yeah. So one of the easiest things, like I knew that a bar of soap was roughly 3.5 inches wide. Give or take. So for me, as a carpenter, logically, it made sense to start with 1x4. You can pick them right up at Home Depot or Lowe's, right off the shelf, ready to go. No muss, no fuss. They're already the right width for the width of the bar and the height of the bar once you put it all together. 1x4, most of you know, hopefully, that a 1x4 isn't truly 1 inch by 4 inch. That's the way they used to make lumber. Full dimension 1 inch by 4 inch. Not anymore. 2x4 is not a 2x4. It is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And sometimes that's even a little lighter than that. But so anyway, 1x4, the width being 3.5 inches. We ended up with 3.25 width being the optimal width for our bars. So my first 1x4, I cut them all to the length for my, I'm getting all mixed up here. Anyway, I knew that I wanted 3.25 inches wide, 2.25 to 2.5 tall, roughly, by 7/8 of an inch thick, which is where I spaced these wires. He did them custom for me. And so 1x4s just made sense. They're easy to work with, everything. I made them full width at first, and then decided I'd rather take 1/4 inch off the length and add it to the height in my batch. And that's what I did. So I do have to cut that board a little bit, rip it down lengthwise, but that's okay. So I know my width, the width of my bar, I know the height of my bar, I knew the thickness of my bar. So getting the mold dimensions this way and this way were easy. I know they're 7/8 of an inch thick. I like to work in 12s, kind of like a baker, 12, 24, 36. And so for me, I wanted a double loaf, which is 24 bars. So, okay, times 7/8 of an inch is 21 inches inside dimensions. So I figured that size out first. Then figured out the volume of the mold, which I have a video on this channel of how to do that too. How to, figure out the volume of a mold and you know, square molds, rectangular molds, round molds. And then my oil weight is what it is. I'm not going to work to, you know, if a bottle of oil is 100 ounces or a gallon or whatever, I'm not gonna worry about that. It's all going to get used at some point. I'd rather make the bar the size that it needs to be, and then figure out the weight. If that makes any sense to you guys. I know I'm jabbering a lot here. And it's that method has worked out well for me. And I've built stuff for other people too. And I just think I'm going by what the end product should look like. When I started making beard oils, I knew that I wanted a 1 ounce bottle. You know, some people say, well, you should make a giant bottle because people want it, and you know, if they like it, they'll need extra, and they want it to last longer. People like to change up too. Plus, they like a lower price point. So there's got to be a happy medium. We tried it with bars of soap before, making giant bars of soap. And honestly, they were fairly popular. But for the most part, people like the smaller bars better because then they can mix it up, mix and match. And there's a decent price point. It's not cheap, but it's not going to break the bank either. Ow. So just something to think about. Don't sweat how to make a 1 pound, 2 pound, all that. That doesn't make your math any easier. Whoops. Use index cards. Love index cards. When I pull the loaves out, or when they're still wet, I put an index card with the name of the soap right under the edge of the mold, and I know it's there. I save the whole stack of index cards, and I just dial through it when I need, kind of like a Rolodex. If you're old enough to know what that is, you're old. You know, pull out the scents that I need, and it's already labeled. Because my memory's not getting any better as I age. So yeah, don't sweat getting all hung up on 1 pound mold, 5 pound molds. I'm not sure why. I'm just not sure why the industry has gone that direction, and it has. When you look at molds, people will say a 5 pound mold, whatever. And it's all relative. You know, the size of the mold and weight, you can adjust kind of on the fly. Overfill it a little bit. Most of them are designed to leave a little bit of head space at the top of the mold so that you're not overflowing it. So if it's a 5 pound mold, it might hold 5 pounds, 3 ounces, who knows, but I wouldn't get too deep into that. So yeah, design the bar first. What do you want your final bar to be? Take those dimensions and then go from there. Now design your mold around the bar and the number of bars, the bar size, and how many do you want. That to me, and maybe I'm crazy, who knows? That's entirely possible. But that to me is more important. This is our tea tree, by the way. Veyron. The other one was tea tree. But the end result seems more important to me than, you know, getting a 1 pound mold and then trying to figure out what size bars you're going to get out of it. I don't know. And, you know, that was a little complicated for me when I first started because I was working, you know, looking online at pre-made molds, and that means, okay, I got to cut my bars to utilize as much soap out of that mold as I can at a shape that I'm happy with. And honestly, with most pre-made molds, especially silicone ones, and I don't know why they're the size they are, and I don't know why it aggravates me, but that's not the size I want. I don't think the bars are optimal. I don't like the way they look sometimes. So I'm nuts. It is what it is. Last loaf. By the way, I know for me, I like to listen to podcasts and stuff when I'm making soap, cutting soap, making other stuff, packing orders to ship out. And I know a lot of you guys like to do that too. I like my music too, but sometimes, I mean, I'm a talk radio junkie. I grew up with that murmur, murmur, murmur in the background all of my life. So, listening to podcasts like Mike Rowe and things like that, love that stuff. Um, if you ever get into the funny Reddit stories, I don't know if you've ever heard of some of these guys on YouTube, where like r slash and dark fluff and story time, where they'll take funny or ironic Reddit stories and narrate them for their audience. And they usually put the text up on the screen. Well, my podcast, I have the YouTube channel that does that under Uncle Reddit. I also have the podcast so that, while you're driving, you don't want to be playing YouTube while you're driving down the road. A podcast tends to work better. When you're working, you're not sitting there staring at a screen, so podcast seems to work better. If you go to Anchor FM or even Spotify and look up Storytime with Uncle Reddit, we read stories mostly about tech support, tales from tech support. We did a couple of I Don't Work Here Lady stories, where crazy people, mistake other customers as employees. Malicious compliance, we did one the other night, where, somebody's being an ass and demands something and the person maliciously gives them exactly what they asked for. So, yeah, if you're into that stuff, check it out. If you need a link, I'll try to remember to put one down below. I'm not trying to flog it too hard, but it is something I do on the side for fun outside of the soap making. So I'm really into digital stuff, recording, even though, this is basic video. It's nothing fancy, no fancy microphone and all that. Now, the podcast and the other YouTube channel, I have a, fancy schmancy, several $100 condenser studio mic, things like that. Same camera, but yeah, I get into doing that. So check it out. This is the pumpkin spice, and I think it's Abe Froman commented last night sometime that he'd be interested in seeing that. So this is kind of partially for him, because I said something yesterday when we were making all these batches that this would change color. It just like the nightcap changed color, but this will get dark. It's already starting to get somewhat dark. The pumpkin spice, by the time it's done curing, will be a dark brown. So anyway, let me get some cutting done for you here so you can see it. My candle lady was dropping off candles. So Abe Froman commented last night he'd be interested to see this. The inside's not going to change much overnight. It's only been 24 hours since this was made, so you're not going to see anything real drastic, but you can see how it's starting to get real dark on the outside. So let's do a cut here. This is the pumpkin spice. Pick one out of the middle. So it'll have that sort of yellow, like pound cake kind of color. You can see the little ring of brown. That'll creep towards the center, and it'll all go completely dark brown, like darker than that edge. Yep, cool stuff. A little science, a little art, and that's the vanilla content that does that. Basically, it oxidizes and turns brown. So that's 6 batches, guys. 6 batches made, 6 batches cut. Almost. One more cut. But yeah, I love this cutter. For years, I've done a single string cutter that I designed and made. Well, I partially designed it. There was actually a guy online that designed one for his daughter who was making soap, and he built it. And I sort of snitched part of his design. I always like it when they're like this, like a little marbled. Something about it. Kind of cool. Yep, there they are, all 6 of them, all tucked in and airing out for a little while, and they'll be ready to go soon. It won't be too long. I don't do 4 to 6 weeks. Y'all should know that by now. Anyway, got a few shave soaps up here curing. They're ready to be labeled, honestly. Got some pucks, jars. Love this new rack. This new rack is fantastic. And I was even able to find a home for this soap drying tray that I had already. It's okay. It's not real efficient. I like this better, and I can cut my own shelves out of the plywood and just cover them with my white standard paper. Anyway, all right, guys. As usual, any questions, comments, concerns, riddles, whatever, leave them in the comments down below. Check out my podcast. Go to Spotify, and the title is Storytime with Uncle Reddit. Just something you can listen to, something kind of cool. Some of them are kind of, you get a little chuckle out of them. Some of them are ironic. Some of them are just, head meets desk. So, all right, guys. See ya.